Hey there, right on. Nice to see you. It's Lori. This is your first wild writing video, and I want to keep it so simple for you. I don't want to talk on and on. I think if you signed up for this 7-day class, you want to do some writing. Okay, so I'm just going to say enough each day to season the pot, get us moving, give us something to think about, and then I'm going to send us on our way to do some writing because that's what you're here for. So today I want to talk about the two things that are the most important things to this practice. And it's part of our practice. So I'm going to read you the poem twice, and then I'm going to give you some jump off lines. And you're going to choose one of those lines or a couple of those lines. You can choose them all if you like, but choose one line, and then you're going to start writing. And for the 15 minutes that you're writing, the pen is never going to leave the page. You are just going to keep writing. And that is today's practice. You just keep writing whatever you're saying. Even if you come to the end of a thought or an idea, go back to that jump off line and use it again. That jump off line that I give you, you might use it 3, 4, 5 times in a piece. It's actually quite beautiful, quite lyrical to return to a line. It's kind of like in music, you've got that repeat, that repeat. It's really beautiful. Try it. But you're just going to keep that pen moving. And even if what you're writing is, oh my God, my hand hurts so much. I haven't written by hand in days, or I'm thirsty, or why did I sign up for this class? But you just keep writing. I would suggest going back to that jump off line though. When you find yourself getting tired or bored or lost, like, what am I doing? Go back to that jump off line and use it again. Okay. So we're going to focus on that. That's like the most important part of wild writing. And then there's one more part that's really important, which is see if you can try to tell the truth. And I'll say more about that during the week, but see if you can write things that are true. So as you're writing, if you hear something coming like a word or a thought, and you're like, no, not that, just see if you can say yes to what's coming. Because that's the other thing we're doing in wild writing. We're trying not to block the path of the creative unconscious. We're trying not to block what's coming by being appropriate or being nice or keeping things kind of distanced or just in case someone read it or. No, we're actually trying to write really quickly so that we can open the channel of the creative unconscious and what is coming down the pike. Just like when you're dreaming, when you're dreaming, you don't curate the dream. You're like, no, I don't want to dream that, or that's ridiculous. It's like, here comes the alligator delivering the mail. Well, here comes whatever's coming for you. And so I want you to practice during this week and certainly during this writing, keeping the pen moving and just listening to what's coming and writing it down like you're channeling. Okay. Okay, great. That's all I'm going to say today. I made this other tape for you and it was much longer. And I was just like, these people don't have time for that. Let's just focus on the small things. Okay. That's all we're going to do today. I have one of my favorite poems for you. You're going to be turned on to a lot of poems this week. Well, at least 7 of them. And they're really fantastic. These are narrative poems. They're storytelling poems. So they're always going to have something to do with our real lives. Or part of a life that we understand, what it is to be a human being. They're going to reference that. They're not going to be these sort of airy, intellectual poems that you don't understand. I think they're going to be poems that speak to you. They do to me. So just kick back and listen. Sometimes I say, when you're listening to me read the poem, just like, pretend you're like a kindergartner. It's just like, oh, just listening to story time, because you don't want to have to like take a note or remember what you're supposed to do here. You're supposed to let your mind drift. So different from when you're in a meditation practice and you'll hear the meditation see, if your mind is drifting, come back to the breath. No, if your mind is drifting as I'm reading you this poem, yay. Drift is good because that's the creative unconscious making connections. So you might start with the jump off line, but then write about something completely different than the poem. And that's your creative unconscious sort of delivering to you and saying, here, let's write about this. Okay. So just listen softly. I'm going to read it twice. It's called Coconut by Paul Hostovsky. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about happiness. It's hard to get at, but the thing is, I wasn't looking. I was looking somewhere else when my son found it in the fruit section and came running, holding it out in his small hands, asking me what it was and could we keep it. It only cost 99 cents, hairy and brown and hard as a rock and something swishing around inside. And what on earth and when on earth? And this was happiness, this little ball of interest beating inside his chest, this interestedness beaming out from his face, pleading happiness. And because I wasn't happy, I said to put it back because I didn't want it, because we didn't need it. And because he was happy, he started to cry right there in aisle 5. So when we got home, we put it in the middle of the kitchen table and sat on either side of it and began to consider how to get inside of it. So beautiful. A couple of the jump off lines I like, I love this first line. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about boom. You know, you can write whatever you want. You can write happiness. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about happiness. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about COVID. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about the new year. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about losing a parent. I mean, really, you can go in any direction you want. But that first sentence is so wonderful. And again, as you're writing and you come to the end of a thought or an end of just a sentence and you don't know where to go back to that line again. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about, and you can change it as you go. There's some other lines in here. I love even just the, how do we get inside of it? How do we get inside of it? I love that. I love that line. How do we get inside of it? So those are 2 lines. And then I'll give you another line at the end. I always like to throw in a kind of loose line at the end just to get us started, okay? Because the poem is going to touch us and do something kind of wonderful and creative. It's going to kind of mess us up creatively. And then we're going to be able to write whatever we want to write. And we just need a jump off line, okay? I'm going to read it to you one more time. Coconut. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about happiness. It's hard to get at, but the thing is, I wasn't looking. I was looking somewhere else when my son found it in the fruit section and came running, holding it out in his small hands, asking me what it was and could we keep it. Only cost 99 cents, hairy and brown and hard as a rock and something swishing around inside. And what on earth and where on earth? And this was happiness, this little ball of interest beating inside his chest, this interestedness beaming out from his face, pleading happiness. And because I wasn't happy, I said to put it back because I didn't want it, because we didn't need it. And because he was happy, he started to cry right there in aisle 5. So when we got home, we put it in the middle of the kitchen table and sat on either side of it and began to consider how to get inside of it. Wonderful poem. So here are your lines. Bear with me. I want to tell you something about X. Or how do we get inside of it? How do we get inside of it? That might be a line for you. And then if you want another line, I always like to sort of give another line. It could be, if you knew me, boom, boom, come to the end of a thought. If you knew me, you'd know, boom, 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 boom. If you knew me, you'd know, okay? Okay, so let's get started. I want you to set your timer for 15 minutes. Relax. This is a come as you are party. Please write as poorly as possible. We don't need any more fancy people running around the earth. We just need human beings. Right? So set your timer. Pay attention to keeping the pen moving and trying to listen to what's coming. Say yes to what's coming down the pike and just tell the truth and see what's there. Okay? You got this. This is beauty, great beauty. I'll see you tomorrow.